It's wonderful to be here with you. It's pretty stormy outside right now, so fingers crossed that we keep a good connection. But let's tilt our pelvis into neutral. We'll start with our ankles hip distance apart, the outer edges of our feet straight, ribs relax down and back. You have to be careful because when those ribs relax down and back, they'll often drag the pelvis with. So sit up tall from your pelvis and then sliding your ears back over your shoulders. Let's just start with a side to side. And it's not exactly easy for me to see all of my motions right now, but if you can do some things in front of a mirror, it's very helpful because you'll notice your habits. Like as you go side to side, do you always tend to push your chin forward or does your head twist a little bit to one side? And tuning into your breath here as you go side to side. Maybe noticing if as you go to one side, it's very different than going to the other side. Check, did your ribs start thrusting? Did your head start dropping forward? And then how about staying over to the right and doing a little head nod here? And then going over to the left and doing a little head nod there. And then bringing your head up and let's turn side to side, turning to the right, turning to the left. Notice also as you turn, do you tend to lead with your chin? If so, drop your chin down just a little bit. Try to turn just from the neck muscles without turning the torso. And then feel your breath flowing here. Notice your inhale and exhale through your nostrils. Let's do a couple more each side. And then bring your head back to center and let's take it into dynamic side bends. Feeling the sides of your waist, the side of the rib cage, the inner section between your neck and your shoulder. All right, let's turn this into a twist. And you can just go side to side, pelvis upright, ribs relax down, or you can hold your arms out, rotating your palms up, and turn from your waist and turn from your rib cage. Checking on the habit of your pelvis. Do your feet want to walk back or walk in? Just observing. Sometimes going a little slower, you might be able to actually feel how maybe your waist or your rib cage feels different on one side than the other. All right, let your arms come down and now we're going to do some dynamic folds over the legs. So just fold. You can do it elbows. You can go further down, push down through your feet to roll back up. And same thing, rotate from your pelvis. You can slide just to your hands. You can slide to your elbows. You can go further down and push into your feet to come back up. Let's do that 2 more times. All right, let's add in some rib breathing. So if you want to tie your strap around your rib cage, tie it nice and snug, anywhere on your rib cage above your waist. And you're just practicing breathing all the way around the strap. In particular, you want to make sure that you've got some breath going into the back and the sides before you focus too much on the front of the rib cage. It helps if you keep your ribs relaxing down and back. And then from here, let's take a breath. Inhale, any amount. Exhale when you're ready. Feel like the strap is getting looser. And that's your rib breath. You can count if you'd like to, but I just would like you to take 1 easy inhale, 1 easy exhale, tipping your right ear to your right shoulder, and take a breath here. Or 2. So if your breath is a little shorter today for any reason, take 2 or 3 breaths. And let's tip our left ear over to our left shoulder and take a breath or 2 here. And when you're ready, bring your head up, turn and look over one shoulder, hold there, and take a breath. And turn and look over your other shoulder, focusing on your rib breath. All right, bring your head back to center. Right arm goes up and over. You can focus more on the right side, breathing into the strap. And exhaling all the way out. And over to the other side. Taking a breath or 2 here. And turning into a twist, arms out or not. Staying and taking a breath here. And twisting to the other side. And breathing. And come back to center and fold over any amount and take a breath here. All right, push into your feet to come up. Scoot your left hip to the center of the chair and extend your right leg out long. You can be on the sole of the foot or on the inner edge of the foot. Just keep working on turning your toes forward. And then we'll circle our arms up and down here, reaching out through your upper back and chest muscles. Now you might be a little crooked since you scooted over to one side of the chair, but that's okay. Reach back, hold onto the back of the chair and lift your ribs up and relax them down and back. And when you relax down and back, try not to tuck your pelvis back. Pelvis stays upright. Ribs go up and relax down and back. And ribs up and relax down and back. And it's not only ribs up, it's kind of ribs forward. And then they go down and back. Now relax them, hold them down and back. Curl your elbows in and open. Elbows in a little and open. Elbows in a little and open. Elbows in a little and open. And then relax your arms, slide that leg in, scoot over to the other side. Extend your leg nice and long. Flexed ankle, toes pointing forward, and circle your arms up and down. Tuning into your body, your breath, Letting outside distractions be just that. And then reach back, hold onto the chair, and ribs lift up and press forward, and relax down and back, moving the ribs separate, keeping the pelvis still. 2 more like that. All right, keep the ribs relaxing down and back. Just hug the elbows in so they point straight back, and relax them. Hug in a little and relax. 2 more like that. All right, from there, go ahead and slide that leg in and come back to centered on the chair and spin around to your right for a lunge. Just being in the lunge, as I talked about last week, is just so good for our bodies. So just being here and staying and breathing builds range of motion, builds strength. But if you want to add in some extra things, how about flipping the ankle here, top of the foot to toes tuck under, and press back through the heel a little bit. And when you go to the top of the foot, hold, try to feel more parts of the top of the foot. And then let's circle our outside arm up and over into a side bend. You can definitely pay attention to some breaths into the sides of your rib cage. And then bring that hand down and twist your upper body towards the back of the chair, stacking your head right over your ribs right over your pelvis, and feeling your waist twist. And then unwind and slide that leg. Oh, actually, we're going to stay back. We're going to tuck our toes under, try to feel more parts of the ball of the foot, and let's do another side bend. Notice if your ribs tend to thrust forward or your head tends to drop forward. Slide the ribs, relax them down and back. Slide the head back a little bit. And then bring that hand down and twist to the back of the chair. Notice if your ankle likes to flop to one side or the other, try to center it. Activate your feet a little bit by pressing down. All right, unwind and let's spin around to the other side. So into a lunge, knee slides back under the hip, and flip top of the foot to tucking the toes under and breathing here. Smooth inhales and exhales. All right, let's stay on the top of the foot and center it, and take your arm up and over. Breathing here. And then let that arm come down and twist to the back of the chair. Good. Unwind and tuck your toes under, back your heel up, and side bend up and over here. And then from there, twist to the back of the chair. Relaxing the shoulders, feeling the ball of the foot centered, breathing. Relaxing any excessive clenching around your hips and thighs. All right, untwist and slide your leg forward and spin back around to the front of the chair. Okay, let's grab a block or whatever you have to lift your legs up. And you can do any height. You can do the lowest height, you can do the medium height, you can do the highest height. Sometimes it's just so hard for me to decide which height I'm gonna do. I think I'm actually gonna do the lowest height today. Like I do the highest height and the medium height, I mix it up all the time. So do whatever you want, but put that block. Let's start by going out to the right. Put it out to the right, put the heel of your foot up, and then you're gonna hinge forward any amount. And we're just gonna hold for a couple breaths each, but you're gonna try to like rotate the thigh bone one way and then rotate the thigh bone the other way. So try to rotate your thigh bone out a little as you hinge forward. Breathing here. And then rotate your thigh bone a little bit in. All right, come on up and let's switch legs. So take it out to the left a bit, thigh heel up, toes down. You can do any height you'd like to. Hinge forward here, and just from the top of the thigh bone, try to rotate all the way one way, or as far as it will go without force. Keep in mind the biggest barrier to really getting into your hip muscles is if you're tucked under, so try to untuck as you come forward. And then rotate your thigh bone in. All right, come on up. Slide that block back over to your right foot. Extend it straight ahead. And hinge forward. And same thing, rotate your thigh bone from the top a little bit one way. And hold. And then rotate your thigh bone the other way. And come up and switch legs. Extend and rotate one way. And rotate your thigh bone the other way. All right, and come on up. And last but not least, keep your block where it is. Reach your right leg across and hinge forward here. And start by rotating your thigh bone one way. And rotate your thigh bone the other way slightly. All right, switch legs. Slide the block over in front of your other foot. Extend, hinge forward, rotate your thigh bone one way. And rotate your thigh bone the other way. All right, come on up and let's spin around into another lunge. So spin around into the lunge, squaring your hips. Again, just feel free to just stay right here. This is excellent in itself, but you can also do some heel raises, toe raises, where you lift and lower. If you cramp, that back of the leg cramps, just slide the leg straight and massage out the tissue a little bit. And you can keep with the up and down motion, or you can hold up and flip your ankle, pointing and flexing. Point and flex, point and flex, point and flex. Toes come down, legs slide forward, spin around to the other side. And the best way to build range of motion and build strength is to just be in a lunge position more often, not forcing anything. When your body's ready to do a movement, it will happen quite easily when you adapt your body slowly. So maybe a little bit of a lift and a lower here. And next, flex. Keep sliding the thigh bone back. Lower the toes down, slide that foot forward, spin back around to the front of the chair. Okay, we're gonna do a leg out to the side just like we did, but we're going to put our foot up a little bit higher. You can do the lowest height, you can do a medium height. You have to approximate those. So if you scoot yourself up and set your foot up, then you have to kind of try to get the block about where your foot was so that you can extend your foot up onto the block. And it might take a couple tries, and you're still flexing and you're on the inner edge of your foot. And if you find that this does not feel good, then go to the lower height or just go to the floor here. Sitting up nice and tall, nice straight leg, reach your right arm across in the opposite direction and pull on that upper arm across your body and keep extending your right leg long. So notice if the knee wants to bend a little, keep reaching out, keep breathing. Notice your left leg, does it want to collapse one way or the other? And center. All right, bring that same arm up and into the air and to your shoulder, and then you can reach over and you can pull back. You can subtly change this in so many ways by bringing your elbow in or opening out to the side or switching the position of where your hand is. So play around for a moment, find a spot that's good for you, and then stay and breathe and keep extending that leg. My knee was definitely just bending. And then release your arms and lean over to step your foot off and then grab that block, and we're going to go over to the other side. So you're scooting your hip to the center. You can do the block on the lowest height or medium height. And then from here, you're extending that leg out, kind of setting yourself up so you can approximate where you're going to put the block. And it might take a couple tries. And then you're going to lean over, get your foot up on there, extend your leg nice and long. And then from here, let's reach the left arm across, hold onto that upper arm and gently pull it across the body. Keep working on the extension of that inner thigh, outer hip muscles. All right, let's take that same arm up, hand to the shoulder. Again, you can play. You can have it closer to the one shoulder, closer to the other. You can wrap it in. A lot of people's elbows go out to the side, so wrapping it in is something different. What you might want to do is just notice, like, where does my arm naturally go, and slightly change your elbow and your hand position. And that's assuming that you do this stretch regularly here and there in your life, because if you never do it, then just whatever position you come into is probably just fine. Keep stretching long through that left leg. Keep tuning into your breath. Good, and then go ahead and release and lean over to your right hip a little bit to slide the foot off. You can grab that block and scoot back to the center of the chair. Okay, we're going to use the block. Again, you can do lowest height, middle height, highest height. For this one, I'm going to do the highest height. And usually, we'll put the block somewhere like around here and cross your foot on and fold forward. But we're going to change the position of the block. We're not going to do what we usually do. So start with your feet hip distance apart and take the block kind of over, out, and in front of your left foot, and then reach your right leg across and let that knee bend and open out to the side. And if it's too much, then just slide the block over a little bit. And from here, hinge forward any amount. Try to feel both of your hips on the chair. And just being here and being with your breath. Hopefully it feels good, because if you take these classes regularly, it's hitting an area that we don't usually give a lot of attention to. All right, and come on up. And let's now take that same block outside your foot, your right foot. And now do the same thing, but you're flexing your ankle, your knees dropping wide out to the right, and hinge forward here. Breathing. And try to check if your hips are kind of twisting one way or the other. Try to untwist. Try to feel both of your hips touching the chair. All right, let's switch sides. So ankles hip distance apart, block like a little bit in front and to the side of the right foot, and then reach your left foot over. And if that doesn't work, then just don't put the block so far over. Flexed ankle, knee dropping open, and hinge forward here. Good, and come on up, and now slide that block outside your left foot, and put your left foot up on it, flexed ankle, knee dropping open to the side, and hinge forward right through the center of your legs. And come back to your breath, come back to your body. All right, and come on up. Okay, let's roll the ball under our foot. So grab your ball if you don't have it. And I'm just gonna be quiet today because I want you to really not pay attention to what I'm saying, but zoom in to the foot. And all I'm gonna say is that roll it any way, but try to hit every area of your foot. You can go up and down, you can do side to side, you can do circles under your foot, but try to hit all those edges right below the toes, the inner arch. So a minute starts now. And you don't always have to go fast, sometimes go slow. Get creative with how you move the ball under your foot. Ten more seconds. Okay, so that was a minute. Pause with your foot on the ball. You can let your heel drop down. Try to spread all 5 of your toes as wide as you can. Try to point your big toe down and lift your little toes up. Do the opposite. Do little toes down, big toe up. And that was only a minute, but if a minute done consistently under each foot can really make a big difference in the health of your feet. You don't want to forget about your feet. We're in like winter time, colder times. It's easier to put on thicker socks, tighter shoes, boots that hug around the ankles more, and then we get less motion. So you want to keep the motion of your feet going in this season. Let's switch feet, and a minute starts now. And this is a good time for me to remind you about toe spacers. So wearing toe spacers or alignment socks is a great habit to get into. Start with 20 minutes, work up to an hour, then you can wear them for a couple hours, but you do want to adapt your body slowly. All right, pause, heel down. That was a minute. Spread all your toes nice and wide. Try to lower your big toe as you lift your little toes. And then switch, little toes go down as big toe goes up. All right, and then you can roll that ball out of the way. Let's walk our feet all the way so our big toes are touching. There's a little space between our heels. Try to keep your knees together. So notice for you, if the hard part is keeping the knees together, hug them in. And if there's no way they're coming together, you can put a block and squeeze it between your legs. But you're trying to keep your legs together as you push down, back your hips up and come up nice and slowly. And then if you need to scoot back a little bit so you're confident your chair is right there, sit your hips back and try to go down a little bit slower and come back up. Okay, we're gonna walk our feet a little wider. If this is hip distance, we're still a little bit closer than hip distance. Wherever your feet are, you're trying to match with your knees. So knees are staying a little closer than hip distance apart. Push down, back your hips up as you come up. Legs are a little closer than hip distance, and sit your hips back and slowly go back down. All right, let's go to hip distance apart. Remember, trying not to scoot our feet back, keeping them forward. And as we come up, trying to back our buttocks up as we come up. And of course, as we go up and down, watching if we tend to have thighs that collapse in or out, trying to stabilize a little bit. And then let's walk our feet a little bit wider. Push down equally through the soles of the feet as you come up. And sit your hips back nice and slowly as you go down. And let's walk your feet a little bit wider. Edges of the feet still straight. Push down, pressing equally through the feet and backing the hips up and taking your time to lower down. And let's go one wider here. Feet nice and wide, pushing down, backing the hips up as you come up to stand. And let's go down and we're just gonna tap the chair. You're just gonna tap the chair and come right back up and walk your feet in and come around to the back of the chair. And you don't have to keep your strap around your waist, but you definitely can. It's a nice tool to remind you to tune into breathing. But let's walk back, 2 straight arms, 2 straight legs here, backing your hips up, belly relaxes, tailbone goes up into the air. Checking our alignment markers, feet closer to straight, ankles closer to hip distance, maybe working on thigh bones rotating into neutral, straightening the legs. Relaxing the lower belly, ribs up if you tend to thrust. All right, and then walk up to the chair a little. You can stay on your hands or you can come to your forearms, and let's just bend one knee at a time. As you pump your heels up, notice if your ankle rolls a little bit out to the side and press equally through the ball of the foot as you go side to side. steering the knee so it's right over the center of the foot. All right, and come on up to stand, and we'll go from one side to the other, checking feet straight, ankles hip distance as we bend a heel in. And you want to just watch, does your hip tend to drift out to the side? Hug it in. Does your hip tend to drift forward? Back your thigh bone up and keep trying to straighten the standing leg all the way as you go side to side. The best way to get, I've talked a lot about the best way to get better at balancing on two legs is checking the alignment of your feet, the alignment of your ankles more often. Hips over heels is a big piece of that puzzle. But then once you've worked on those a lot, the best way is just to get on one leg more often. So when you're going and you're pumping your gas, how about taking a moment to stand on each leg? When you're standing in the kitchen, waiting for your tea kettle, how about standing on each leg for a moment or two and take a breath? And at first it'll be quicker, and then over time you'll realize, oh, I can stay here a little bit longer and feel confident and feel strong in my body and feel stable. So just keep on working on it. All right, from here, let's grab whatever you're going to use for a calf stretch. Put it in front of your right foot. Grab your strap. Put the ball of your foot up, your heel down. You can step your outside foot forward or back any amount. Hold on with your palms facing behind you, the strap a little bit wider than your hips. Pull it tight. As you pull it tight, go up into the air. And then once you're up into the air, I'm going to scoot back a little bit just to make sure that I'm in the frame here. Once you're up in the air, you're going to flip your wrist down and flip your wrist back. And then slowly bring your hands back down. All right, walk your hands in just a little bit. And if any width of hands starts to not feel so good for your shoulders, just go back to wider. And arms go up in the air, pulling the strap nice and tight, and flip your wrist down and flip your wrist up. And hands come back down. And from there, walking your hands in a little bit closer to each other, just inside your hips, pulling the strap taut. And arms go up into the air here, and flip your wrists one way and flip your wrists the other way. And then let's walk in one closer. And with your hands in the air, this is the wrist flip, down and up. Reach your arms up into the air, pull the strap taut, and wrist flip one way and wrist flip the other way. And then slide your hands out, pull the strap nice and taut, and lower down. Okay, let's switch feet. Ball of the foot up, heel down, outer edges of feet closer to straight, ankles closer to hip distance apart. And if you've just been going a little closer for a while, maybe it's time to turn your feet a little straighter or bring your ankles a little bit closer to hip distance apart. All right, we're gonna do it from behind. Same thing, as we get closer and closer, if it doesn't feel good, then go back to farther apart. Lift and flip your wrists one way, flip your wrists the other way. By the way, you're starting with your palms facing forward. Hands come down. Walk your hands right next to the sides of your hips. Lift your arms up behind you, ribs down, ears slide back. Flip your wrists one way and the other way. And lower down. Walk your hands in just to the sides of the buttocks. Lift the arms any amount and wrist flip and flip. Oh, I love that one. And then walk your hands a little bit closer and lift your hands off your back and flip your wrists one way and flip your wrists the other way. And it's so interesting how just the change of the position of your wrist changes so much what's going on up the chain. All right, go ahead and relax there, and you can put that strap out of the way, and you can put whatever you're using for your calf stretch out of the way. Oh, actually, sorry, bring your calf stretch back. Rolled up towel or block. Put the ball of your right foot up. Let's put a bend in our knee and steer it over the center of our foot. You can step your outside foot forward or back and interlace your right pinky finger on the bottom. Press away And let's do thumbs in and thumbs out. Thumbs in and out. And thumbs in and out. Thumbs in and out. And press through the fingers and switch feet. Ball of the foot up, heel down. You don't want to feel this in your Achilles tendon right behind your ankle, so back off either by stepping your foot back or don't put your foot up so high. Steer the knee towards the center of the foot as it bends. Interlace your left pinky finger on the bottom, press away. And this time we'll go thumbs in to touch like forward, touch the palm of the hands, and thumbs pull back towards you. Thumbs curl in and thumbs gently pull back. Thumbs curl in and pull back, and thumbs curl in and pull back, and press through all the fingers and release and step off of there. And now you can slide that out of the way. And with your feet straight and your ankles closer to hip distance, focus on the rotation of the pelvis and the backing up of the thigh bones, as opposed to the rounding of the spine to come down. Not that this is a bad motion, but we want to find more motion in our pelvic area. Breathing, and I can always tell when I do this if my heels are in a little bit, it doesn't give as much space for my thigh bones to rotate and my pelvis to rotate, so watch those heels in and scoot them open. As you bend forward and back your hips up, and slowly come back up. And nice straight legs, great time to work on neutral rotation of your thigh bones. You can even use your hands to roll them open a little bit and come up. So simple, but so great, so wonderful. Feel your buttocks muscles, feel all around your thighs. Sit back into a chair pose and step your right leg way back into a lunge. Center the ball of your back foot. Reach your right arm out to the right, palm up, and go across the body in front and open out and across in front. Okay, we're gonna switch it up. We're gonna open out, turn your hand down, flip your wrist down, and go across in wrist flexion and open up. And then extend your wrists, fingers point up, and go across in front and open back up. And then bring your hand to the chair, center that back foot. I saw mine flipped it to the side. Step up, sit back into a chair pose, step your opposite leg back, square your hips the direction you're facing, arm opens to the side, reach across and open. Reach across and open. Palm turns down, wrist flips down. Keep the wrist flipping down as you reach across and open, and wrist flips up and reach across and open. And then bring the hand down, center the ball of the back foot, push off that foot to step up. Step your feet a little wider than hip distance and sit back. Press up. Walk your feet a little wider. Try to lead less with the knees and more with the buttocks going back. And press up and walk your feet one wider. And also notice as you go back, do your thighs tend to collapse in or roll open? Center and press up. Okay, your feet are nice and wide. We've been doing these a lot lately. I know I won't have them in next week's class as much, but open your knees wide and squat down and press up. And today, since we've been doing these, I want you to vary it a little bit. Like maybe try to open your feet a little wider and see if you can open your knees a little bit wider to match. And if not, then don't turn your feet out so wide. Maybe narrow your feet in a little more and steer. So try to change the position of your feet slightly and move your hips and your thighs and your knees to match that position of your feet. And let's do a few more like this. And I'm going to change my feet again. You can go a little bit out, a little bit in. Definitely harder to balance when I turn my feet a little bit more. And also straighten your legs all the way. And I'm going to do one more. You can stay where you are. I'm going to try to turn my feet in a little bit more, but not quite all the way. All right, feet straight. Sit back into your wide squat and hold. And press up. Walk your feet into 3 and sit back and hold. And press up. Walk your feet into 2, not quite hip distance. Sit back and hold. Check. Does your tailbone tend to tuck under? Untuck. But if you can untuck, do your ribs tend to thrust? You can curl your ribs back a little. And press up and walk your feet into 1 and sit back and hold. And press up. Okay, so aside from when we stand on one leg, not letting our hips drift forward, keeping it back. If you need to use your chair to push your hips back a little, that's good. It will help you get stronger. The second piece is the hip going out to the side, but we can actually use the hip going out and in as a strengthening exercise for our hips. So with feet closer to straight, ankles closer to hip distance, bend your left knee and right hip drifts out and presses down and hugs in. And if your hip doesn't go out and in very much, you're just trying to let it go out a little more and you're working a lot on the pressing down. And then we'll switch sides, setting up our feet. And same thing on the other side, hip shifts out and pressing down and hugging in. Okay, so going side to side, letting the hip shift out and in. If your hip has a lot of range of motion, you want to try to go a little bit slower, not only on the way out, but also on the way in. And you can go side to side, especially if you're like, ooh, I can really feel this. Or you can stay on one leg and do 1 or 2 on one leg, or 3 or 4 on one leg. The ultimate goal of these, this is a great way to practice them, and I wish I would have brought this into your awareness sooner, but the ultimate goal of these is to be able to do this with the legs super straight without it touching the floor. And then it teaches you you want both legs straight and you don't want to hike your hip up. But this is a great way to get a little bit more range of motion if you're not standing on something, if you're not standing on a block. And let's do 1 more set, or 1 more on each leg. All right, and then from there, face your chair, and you're just gonna walk back 2 straight arms, 2 straight legs. Breathing here, and how about lifting one hand up, thumb in the air, and lower down, and lifting the other arm up and reaching long, and lower down and walk up to the chair, hands with elbows bent or elbows on the chair, push down through your left hip. If it tends to pop out, hug it in and lift the right leg behind you. Notice how my hip is kind of twisting forward. You want to pull your hip back and in and extend long through that back leg. And then let's switch. Feet closer to straight, the outer edges, ankles closer to hip distance. Push down through the right hip, hug it in. Extend your left leg long, back your weight up into your heels. Reach long through that back leg. Breathing here. All right, and lower down. How about we try that with 2 straight arms? So walk back, try not to let one elbow bend or you're leaning over to one side. Push your hands gently into the chair, not too much so it slides out. Push down through your left leg and extend your right leg back. Still, draw that standing leg hip back and in. Reach long through the back leg and lower down. Feet closer to straight, ankles closer to hip distance. Push down through the right leg, reach the back leg back, slide that hip back, hug it in, reach long through the back leg, press long through your arms, breathing, and lower the foot down and walk up to the chair and sit back and cross your right ankle over your left knee. and switch. And come on up. Okay, so ultimate goal, there's the exercise where you can do it on the block, but it's to push down through one hip and your other foot easily floats up. You flex the ankle without you having to hike your hip up or without you having to bend your knee. Because a lot of times when we're missing range of motion and strength here, that's what we do. We hike our hip up or we bend our knee or we do one or the other. For me, I used to hike my hip up at first a lot. So you're pressing down, you're trying to hike your hip up and bend your knee less as your leg floats up. And all you can do is keep working on it. And then over time, you'll be like, oh yeah, I can push down. And my other foot starts to easily come up, whereas before it might have just felt like a heavy rock. But once you're there, lift your leg up any way you can, rotate your thigh bone, and try not to rotate your hips. So keep your hips facing forward. Keep working on the pelvic lifts, the pressing down and the hugging in of the standing leg as you rotate the hanging thigh bone. And switch. Feet closer to straight, ankles closer to hip distance, press down, hug in, ankle floats up. Notice if you're hiking up, try to relax down. Notice if your knee's bending, try to straighten. And the one way is you got to push down more through the standing leg and rotate the thigh bone without the hips turning. Hips stay steady. And once you get past like the balancing part, and if needs be, hold on to the chair, you can really feel some interesting things like when it comes to your buttocks muscles moving around in this rotation. All right, putting that foot down, and from here, let's grab, let's actually stand behind our chair with feet straight, ankles hip distance, and lift and lower. Notice if your ankles tend to roll slightly up to the sides, try to press more equally through the balls of the feet. And then you're just trying to, and you can use the chair to push yourself back a little, you're trying to pitch forward less. The more you go straight up and down without your ribs or your hips pitching forward, the more your muscles have to work to lift the weight of your body. All right, so keep that in mind, pressing equally through the balls of your feet. Step your feet a little wider and lift and hold. Press equally through the balls of the foot and slowly lower. Walk your feet a little bit wider. Lift and hold. And same thing here, your hips thrusting forward, back hips over the heels. Even though the heels aren't down, back the hips so it's like the weight is over the heels. And lower, and walk your feet a little bit wider and lift up. Press equally through the balls of the feet. Back the hip weight up over the heels and lower. And how about one wider and lift your heels up, backing your hips up over your heels, relaxing, clenching along the front of the thighs and lower, and back your hips up and shift your hips from right to left with two straight legs. And walk your feet in to 3 and shift your hips side to side. And walk your feet into 2 and shift your hips side to side. And walk your feet into hip distance and shift your hips side to side. And then let's do a double calf stretch. Balls of the feet up, heels down. You can do a rolled up towel is great, an extra rolled up yoga mat, block under each foot, back your hips up here and shift your hips a little bit right to left here. And if it feels good to stay to one side or stay to the other side, feel free to do that. Come back to your breathing. And come on up and pay attention to how you sit down. And once you're sitting, we'll do heels up, toes out, heels out, heels up, toes out, heels out, heels up, toes out, heels out, heels up, toes up, and relax. All right, stretching the front of the throat. You can put your hands on your collarbone. My mic's kind of right there. And just pull down gently on the skin of your collarbone. And then as you pull down on the skin, one hand on top of the other, lift your chin up into the air, and you can push your bottom jaw forward. I'm just going to take my hands off so I'm not blocking the mic. You can push your bottom jaw forward or your bottom lip and stretch out this area. So what we're going to do is, we've done this stretch quite often, ribs relaxed down and back the whole time. We're going to do this stretch from different positions. I'm not sure what I can do with my mic, but I'll do the best I can. Okay, so from here, turn and look over your right shoulder. You can gently pull down on your chest skin, lift your chin up into the air, and maybe push your bottom lip or your bottom jaw forward. And relax your chin down and turn over your left shoulder and gently pull the skin down of your breastbone. My hands are low. Put your hands higher right below your collarbones and maybe lift your chin up and push your bottom lip or your bottom jaw forward. All right, and bring your head back down. Tip your right ear to your right shoulder. Hold, push your chin forward a little bit and push your bottom lip or bottom jaw forward. Breathing through your nose. And slowly bring your head up and tip your left ear to your left shoulder. Chin can go forward a little bit. Maybe push your bottom lip or bottom jaw forward and breathing. And bring your head back up. All right, arms out to the sides, low, right arm on top, and open. Left arm on top, open, a little higher. Right arm on top, open, left arm on top, open, a little higher. Right arm, and left arm, and a little higher. Right arm, and left arm. All right, and then come back to center and drop your chin down to your chest. Relax the back of the neck. Do right arm on top and open. Left arm on top. Let's do that one more time. Right arm on top and left arm on top. And then from there, lift your head up, walk your feet in, stretch your legs long and fold any amount over your legs. Breath is flowing. And sit all the way back in your chair for your final pose, Savasana, letting your gaze soften or your eyes gently close and becoming very present with your body and with your breath. Do your best to just be with your body and breath for a few minutes. I don't take this time to sit with you for a minute or two, and often not long enough, just because it is tradition. There's a lot of scientific evidence of how much it helps our bodies and our minds to be present, to be aware. Simple but not easy. And I do try to do this every day on my own without being at the end of a class. So practice for another minute here. Staying present with your body and with your breath. I was afraid of being rejected until I learned to never reject myself. I was afraid of being abandoned until I learned to never abandon myself. I was afraid of the opinions of others until I learned that they held no more weight than my own. I was afraid of painful endings until I realized that they were also new beginnings. I was afraid of feeling low until I learned that it was where my greatest transformation began. I was afraid of change until I realized it was an inevitable part of life in a world full of things temporary and fleeting. I was afraid of being alone until I learned to fully embrace and appreciate my own company. I was afraid of my uniqueness until I learned that it was where my greatness lay. I was afraid of the darkness until I remembered that I was the light. Bringing our hands together at heart center. Whatever fears you may have, may they subside a little bit more or a lot more in this new year. In gratitude for this day, namaste.